If you're looking to get your hands on Far Cry Primal on the PC when it comes out in not too long, then you'll be happy to know that I have the minimum and recommended PC requirements for the title. As always, I'm going to begin with the minimum requirements, beginning, of course, with the operating system, which shouldn't surprise you at all, given that it's Windows 7, 8.1 and Windows 10 64-bit versions only on all of them. As for CPU though, you'll need an Intel Core i3-550 or an AMD Phenom 2 X4955 or equivalent, 4GB of RAM. GPU wise is not too bad, with an Nvidia GeForce GTX 460 with 1GB of VRAM being recommended, or an AMD HD 5770 with 1GB of VRAM, and hard disk space is surprisingly small in comparison to some of the more recent games at 20 gigs. Moving swiftly on to the recommended specs, OS is naturally the same. CPU wise, you'll need an Intel Core i7-2600K or an AMD FX 8350 or equivalent. RAM will be 8 gigs, and GPU wise you'd expect is fairly meaty, with an Nvidia GeForce GTX 780 or an AMD Radeon R9 280X or equivalent. And they have, also, as always with Ubisoft titles, a list of supported video cards at release. Now, that's not to say that if your GPU is not listed, it 100% won't work. It just means it's a bit of a gamble that until drivers are released, you may run into some problems. So do keep that in mind. So we have a AMD Radeon HD 5770, 1GB VRAM or better, HD 7000, 200, 300 and Fury X series. So that's 7200, 300 and Fury X for that last lot. As for Nvidia, you need GeForce GTX 460, 1GB VRAM or better, GTX 500, 600, 700, 900 and Titan series. So a fairly broad spectrum of supported GPUs now. I highly doubt anyone's going to be like, but my GPU, but someone probably will be, but just keep in mind that they probably will eventually support it properly with drivers and whatnot, but at launch that's what's going to be supported. So if you're not listed, then do keep that in mind, but that covers a pretty damn broad spectrum of GPUs, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. So as always, there's a bit of a gulf between the minimum recommended, with no mention as to the target resolution or frame rate, which would have been lovely, but it still gives you an idea as to what you will need to run this, either at, fairly low spec in terms of graphics settings or high spec in terms of recommended, and no maximum settings either, which I always appreciate. But still, there you have it. There's your specs. I would think that's about what people would have expected. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.